Hey guys, welcome back to the Make Me Whole podcast. I'm your host, Josette Rosado. I'm so glad that you are here today because we are with a very, very special guest. This is Tanya Watson. Now, Tanya Watson is a lot of things, but to me, she is my ride or die, my sister. We're
Mhm.
cousins by blood, but sisters by life.
Yes.
We've been rocking since diapers, and there's no way I could have this podcast episode season with all these wonderful guests and not have her part of this series because what we're talking about is healing and being and existing in a space that we feel comfortable in. So Tanya is all about that, and she has done so many things and been such a guiding force for even my own personal healing and growth in the last
Aw.
50 years of life.
We can mention
So,
the years.
well, I guess a little bit, but we're just parlaying today about life and healing and being. And the most inspiring thing about Tanya, and I make fun of it all the time. I tell her I don't have a creative bone in my body, but Tanya is an artist and she uses her art. If you haven't already, and we'll definitely put the links up on the description of the podcast episode, but she is all over Instagram and TikTok, and you can follow her and see all of her wonderful journeys in art. So, Tanya, I'm so glad you came and are here. I'm excited to have you.
Thank
Um,
you. It's an
Tell us a little bit
honor.
about you and who you are and what you're about, and just why you feel that art lights your fire, dude.
Well, first of all, thank you. It's an honor to be on your podcast. I'm so proud of you and all that you've accomplished, and right back at you. You inspire me to just keep doing my thing. And so, yeah, I am a mom, a wife, an artist, a mixed media artist, namely, which means I like to not just use paint, but like all the things. Every kind of art supply you could think of, I probably tried it, which is really fun, but also really can be really expensive. So I have to tell myself I don't need another art supply. But anyway, yeah, I have always, I think, always been an artist. I've definitely had worn many hats in my life. And
Hmm.
I'm very thankful to be able to finally wear the artist hat and live in that space because that's truly like who I am. And it's definitely been a journey and one that has been very healing and soul searching. And what I love most about being an artist is being able to share my work, like you said, and hopefully inspire other people to get creative and try art making because I do feel like it has so many good properties. It's so healing and
Yeah.
it's like revisiting your childhood. It's like being a kid again, at least for me anyway. I wouldn't say that I am a fine artist in the sense of I don't paint portraits. I like to get messy and I like to incorporate a lot of like inspirational words and phrases in my work. And mostly I like to have fun. I think art should be fun, and I like to incorporate that a lot into what I do and what I share with other people.
I
So,
don't think people understand like enough about how important it is to kind of get back to how simple things need to be. I
mhm.
remember when we were little, one of the things we used to look forward to was like all the things we could create and how it was like, okay, get me some crayons, get me some paper. And then you'd be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. We're like, okay, you draw, you
Yeah.
draw. And it was always really cool to see all the things that you could put together and how you would do it. And I just remember that again, not a creative bone in my body, but just how you've then now incorporated it all the way up to like these journals that people can put together. so that they can use it in their own way. And it doesn't always have to be words. It could be just colorful expression or just taking
Mhm.
things and putting them together. So where do you think that comes from? Like, where did it come from for you?
Absolutely. To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how I fell into the art journaling uh space. I just
Hmm.
kind of like stumbled upon it. I have always been someone who was really into inspirational books and affirmations, and I think I just came across like someone's art that had an affirmation on it, and it was like this light bulb went off, and it was like I can combine art with self-help with inspiration. Like what? Like that was so exciting to me because it was like meshing two loves. I am guilty of kind of being a self-help addict. If there is a self-help book out there, I probably read it or know about it. I have a whole shelf full. But in addition to that, I have a whole shelf full of art books
Right.
and art technique books. And so for me, it just naturally makes sense to join those two things.
Yeah.
And art journaling, some people call it art journaling, some people call it scrapbooking, some people call it junk journaling. It's what I love about it is there are no rules. You basically, anything can be an art journal. It can be, you can recycle an old book. You can even just use one of those cheap little composition books and whatever tools that you have on hand. Everybody has markers or a box of crayons. I actually have a free guidebook on my website that talks about how to start art journaling. And really, it's just a way to kind of express yourself and, revisit the fun that you had with maybe some art supplies when you were a kid and just having that freedom to express yourself. Um, in art, we use a lot of symbolism like colors and lines and shapes and maybe images that kind of represent how we're feeling. So one of the fun things to do with an art journal is to explore those things. Or maybe you have a
Yeah.
favorite song or a favorite color and you want to dedicate a page to that. And there's so many different ways that you can do it and play and have fun. And there's something about holding that in your hand. I have a few here. This is one of my favorite ones, but there's something about holding this is a upcycled book that has affirmations in it.
I like that.
And there's something about being able to flip through and look through your art and just get inspired. You can look through and be like, I made that, like, and it's a thing where it's just for you. You don't have to
Right.
share it with anybody. I mean, I share mine online because I get excited, and because I use a lot of affirmations in my work, I hope that it inspires somebody. I hope that it's someone is touched by something that I put in my journal and they can connect in that way. And the art journaling community is so caring and giving, and they love to share. You don't have to share. Like I said, there's no rules, but I'm really passionate about it and just want to keep moving forward with that and, you know, just spreading the word, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you do it well. And one of the things that we've talked about, not just here, but in other spaces and places, is how people may not always understand why we do what we do,
Mm,
right?
right.
And so they see things like healing journeys or journaling or therapy or art as very hokey, very touchy-feely.
Hmm.
And, they're uncomfortable with it and so uncomfortable and uneducated about it that they have a lot to say, but really don't know what they're saying about it. And so it's hard to sometimes hold space where we feel like we are confident in what we're doing. And so, how do you battle against that? Because I know you battle.
I do battle, that's for sure. It's definitely a mindset that you have to adapt. especially with social media. It can be really hard when you post something and every artist could probably relate to this with anything that they make. If there's something that you love and you post it and it's like crickets. And then there's something you slap together in 5 minutes and you post it and everybody loves it. And you're like, what? Like, I just didn't even put any thought into that, and you get mad because like the thing that you loved isn't, people don't feel the same way. And so really, I just have to remind myself that the art that I make is ultimately it's for me. Of course, I love to share it, and everyone's art's subjective. Everyone's going to have their opinion about really anything that you post online, and you just have to remember not to take it personal. And as long as you're enjoying the process and you're enjoying the journey, and you can shut it off at any time. If you don't want to share, you don't have to. But I think there are more people than, there's always going to be critics. And you're always going to face that, but there are more people that you're helping and inspiring, and just by showing up. When you show up, I know when I see other artists show up, it inspires me. Like, oh, I need to get back to it and share my work too. Because there's so many times I've seen someone's video and I'm like, I want to try that technique, or, I can't wait to get back in my studio, or I'm just really touched by how they just shared an experience that they went through. And so, yeah, there's always going to be people that are going to say what you're doing is hokey, or a lot of people are like, I don't get it. Like, why do you like make an art journal? Like, it just sits there and it sounds to me like you're just collecting art supplies, but really it's one of those things that you just have to experience. I think if it's something that brings you joy and is helping you heal, then it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's just real,
like, shut up.
Yeah.
Keep your opinion to yourself.
Exactly.
I think what a lot of people don't know so much about you, particularly that, I get to know and stuff, is just how much of a badass you are and like a survivor you are with everything. And so, despite your wanting to help other people, you've really helped yourself, and just being strong and, surviving what you have survived. And I just wonder, like, do you feel like this metamorphosis that you have now, where you're able to kind of like be yourself and be in your own space, like, do you feel like you're genuinely living how you want to live?
I feel like I'm getting there. I'm definitely living more of the way I want to live than I have in eons, for sure. It's a battle sometimes because, when I was growing up, as Gen Xers, being an artist was not a real job.
Yeah.
And now it is. And that makes me excited. But along with that comes so many things that you have to learn and know that are, technology based, and, it can be a challenge.
Girl, we're like
Just,
recording a video right now.
I
It's like, I'm
know,
sorry,
like, who
excuse
are
me,
we?
huh?
Right? Who are we? We're figuring it out. And so I think I know that I could not go back to, like, I used to have a lot of corporate jobs, and I know I could not sit behind a desk anymore. When I'm not in my studio, I'm an paint and sip instructor, and I'm so thankful to be able to work and share art with other people. That's another way I get to give back. And it's so awesome to see how healing of an experience that is. People come into the studio and they're so afraid. Like, some of them are so freaked out and they haven't touched a paintbrush, right, since
I was one of those
kindergarten.
people.
And to be able to coach them through a painting in 2 hours and to see them come out the other side, like I did that, is awesome. And so, yeah, I feel very blessed to be able to work and live in the space of creativity and what really speaks to me, and just showing up, as that person, as an artist. It's definitely a challenge some days because you open yourself up to criticism, and so that can be a challenge, but I think
Yeah.
it far outweighs sitting in a cubicle. So
No,
I'll take
I
it.
completely agree. And I think the other thing that we have figured out, even together to some degree, is that we look for our tribe,
Yes.
like the people who are going to hear where we are or see what we are, what we're about, and then come back and say, like, you did that thing, or that's really cool, or call us out on our crap. Because, like,
Yeah.
you and I are very good. If, I mean, you're really good in calling me out of my crap. I'm really good in calling you on your crap. You're
Yeah.
like one of two people in this world who can do that besides my kids. So it's kind of one of those things where you have to have that support network around you, the people who can see you for the good and the bad and love you anyway. And
Mm,
so I think that you recognizing that within yourself and saying, like, okay, yeah, it's hard, but I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to
yes,
push forward. I'm still going to move in the directions that I don't even know what could, anything, I'm not, I have no expectations of what's coming next. I just know I need to keep going forward. I think that that's
definitely.
something that you've shown over and over again, and you keep showing
Aw.
up for that, girl. Like, fear, fearful and fearlessly, because we got to be a little scared, right? But then
Yeah.
we also got to be like, well, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway.
You got to feel the fear and do it anyway. I'm sure that's in a self-help book somewhere.
Somewhere. She's like, what page? What page? Oh my
Listen,
goodness.
I think one of the things that people forget is that failure is part of succeeding. And you're going to fail many times before you get to the place where you feel like you're succeeding. I mean, you've seen me do it firsthand. I've gone from having a brick and mortar business, another kind of business, that creative business, and they've all been kind of like in the same arena. But, if something's not working, I think you need to give yourself permission to pivot. I think discovering experiencing what you don't like helps you discover what you do like. And,
Hmm.
it's kind of like sorting through and doing what makes sense for you, in your life. There's definitely, don't get me wrong, there's definitely, um, it's important to be consistent. I think you can change your mind, but I think one of the most important lessons I've learned over the last year is consistency is key. Even if you change your mind, just keep showing up and keep doing, even if you can do one thing for like 5 minutes that moves you forward in the direction that you want to go every day. I think we forget that little steps turn into big results. And I think we get caught up in wanting it. Like, I, for myself, am very impatient and I want the results like yesterday. I expect to just try it once, like post something and get a million likes instantly or go viral, or I don't know, like
Yeah.
post something in my shop online and it sells, 50,000 copies or whatever. And I have to remind myself that it takes work. I think social media can be very deceiving in that you see like other people's successes, but you don't know the story behind like the journey they went through. It was like
Yeah.
this. It wasn't like this. It was like up and down and successes and failures. And, it's just giving yourself grace and just,
Listen, you're not even kidding. The other day, I was watching a video of, like, some rapper, female rapper, and she was doing an interview, and she was talking about how touched she was that Cardi B had posted her video on her Instagram or something. And I was like, "Oh, that's so nice." She's like, "Yeah, because usually Cardi charges 10,000 to 20,000 for people to post on her Instagram." And I was like,
right? Like what?
what the hell? Well, no wonder. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't paying nobody $20,000, to
Right.
be on their Instagram. So a lot of it is that it's not organic in the way that we think it might be. Like, I'm going to be this
Yes.
overnight sensation. but we have to
Mhm.
be sensational for ourselves.
Yes.
Sometimes I think about the fact that I don't have any clue as to what my great grandmother sounded like or really looked like. But my great great grandchildren will see my image and hear my voice because
Right.
I took the risk and the chance and did this podcast. It's just things like that. Or like one of your great great grandchildren will pick up a piece of your artwork and say, oh, I have to save this because my
Yeah.
great grandmother did this. I just think that there are certain things in our thrusting ourselves into the risk and doing the things despite how scary it is.
Right. I
That's
mean,
just
it
been
is.
our thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy. As much as I want to hate technology, like you're so right. I can't, like, now that you mentioned that, there's so many times I've thought about Grandma Ida and wondered, because my dad can kind of draw. And I wondered, like, I don't think we ever knew of any hobbies that she had. Like, she didn't have time for that. Like, she was working and taking care of everyone. And I, when I think about things like that, I feel so blessed to even be able to pursue the things that I'm passionate about. And then, like you said, having like that record of it, like it's such a
Yeah.
legacy. And I do sometimes think, like, what will my kids think of my art, when they show their kids or, um,
Well, just
you
think
know,
about it now. Like, right, I know for you, your kids give you your space and your respect when it comes to your art.
yeah,
Just like my kids give me my space and my respect for what I do. And so I know that they recognize how important it is to us. So we're
yeah,
already breaking the chain. And
yeah.
that in itself is like, damn, such badasses. We're
I
just
mean,
doing the
if we
thing.
could be an example to our kids to find a way to do the things that they're passionate about, I think that in itself is such a success because it's so easy to get sucked into that rat race. And ultimately that would be something that I would want to do before I leave this earth, is to leave that kind of legacy that inspires my kids to not just want to live, but like live authentically and really do the things that they're passionate about and hopefully like make a difference in doing that,
Yeah.
even if it's not like on this global scale, even if you're just changing your family's history and you're inspiring your children or their children to try or to pursue something that's maybe not, mainstream or it's a little bit outside the box. Because being a business owner is not a walk in the park. I'm sure it's a lot of, you actually work harder as a business owner than you do as an employee. And nobody tells you that, but it's true. It's
Yeah.
a 24/7 job. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's a thankless job. But at the end of the day, you can, like you said, we can look back and say, I did that. I made that. And to me, that's priceless. And I really do hope that we are able to impress that on our kids and even our family. I mean, I see it in my parents. I see how happy they are that, like, wow, you're doing that thing and I didn't get to do that thing.
Yeah.
That I had to work, and it's nice when you have that older generation that's just like, go ahead, do your thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
and because, thinking like I was saying about grandma, I wish I wish I could ask her, like, what would you have done? Would you have been a dancer? Probably grandpa would have been a dancer. That's for sure.
Probably.
Because he could dance. But that, if I could see her again, I would definitely ask her, like, what was your thing? She probably would just say, just being a mom and being a grandma.
I mean, she liked novelas, but that was it. That's
Yeah.
all she had time for, I think,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, I know, like I wish that
Excuse me.
I wish that we knew more. But again, that's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why we're leaving our footprints so
Yeah,
that no matter what she may or may not have done, I feel like she left the doors open, the doors and the windows open for us
she
to be
did
where
for
we are
sure.
today. So we definitely want to honor that. And I think if she was still with us, she'd be like, "You girls are amazing."
Right?
She
Yeah.
would.
I'd love to make grandma paint if I could. That would be fun. That
That'd
would
be,
be really
oh my
fun.
gosh, imagine having her on a podcast. She'd be like, "Ay, nena, no." She'd be like,
Yeah,
no.
no, she would not do it. She would
No,
I don't
she
think she
wouldn't. But she's in my head and on my heart. So she speaks whether
totally.
she wants to or not.
Oh yes.
So that's
Yes.
definitely that's kind of funny though, when you think
That
about
is
it.
for
I'd
sure.
love to know though too, like what would have been her thing.
Yeah.
What do you want people to know about what's coming up with you?
Well, I've got, a few things in the works. Like I said, I have my guidebook that you can download from my website. I do also have an Etsy shop, and I'm always adding products to it. And I'm working on some journal kits that I'll be adding to my Etsy shop in case you're feeling like you want to try this and you're not sure where to start. My guidebook is a very good place to start, but also, pick up a composition book or a sketchbook from your local art store and just start playing in it.
Yeah.
Maybe I've just started a YouTube channel and I'll be adding more videos to that as well. So yeah, definitely stay tuned, but you can go on my website and definitely learn about how to get started with art journaling. You can see some examples of my journal pages, and I'm just going to keep adding to it and sharing what I'm passionate about. So yeah, lots of good things in the works.
And we'll be sure to put like links to all of that on the description for the podcast episode. So if people just want to head over there and link onto your stuff, they can from there.
Yeah, and
Well,
I also have an Amazon storefront. So if they want to know what to buy, they can search that too.
I love it.
Right. I
I
had to
love it.
shamelessly plug that.
Listen, if we're gonna buy from Amazon, we might as well help each other out, right? You're gonna
Right?
buy from it anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm here for it. I'm here
Well,
for
I'm
that.
glad you decided to stop by. I know that with like my closest people, I was like, listen, guess what you're doing this month? And everybody's like, okay.
Hey,
So
you
I'm
came
glad
to the studio and painted.
that's true. And I'm gonna come again because
You
I
need to.
actually did learn.
You need
So,
to.
and I was
And
very proud of my painting.
you
So,
are very
anything
proud of
is
it. And I
possible,
love
let me
that.
tell you. And
Yes.
you were great and very
Yes.
patient with me. So, I may have one little small, teeny tiny creative bone in my body.
You have more than one bone, I promise you. Everyone does.
I love it. I love it.
Everyone
Thank you
does.
so much for just being here. And thank you so much for being who you are, to me especially.
Mm,
And, to know you is to love you. So,
same, right back at you, girl. I love you. Same. You're my heart. And again, I am so proud of you. And
thank
I'm
you.
so honored to be on your podcast. And yeah, I hope that people will just try art, buy a coloring book,
Oh,
buy
yeah.
some crayons, get a sketchbook and just play.
There
Just
you
allow
go.
yourself to play. And I promise you, you'll open up a world of fun and love in
I love
yourself.
it. Well, thank you guys so much for being here for this episode. We'll see you on the next one.